What's up, Knife Tube? Today we're going to take a look at these Xarilk, or Xarilk, however you pronounce that, diamond plates. Take a look at them under the microscope, see what they look like. You get the set of 320 and 800 to 2000. It's a good little grip progression for a 3-stone setup. They're on nice stout aluminum bases. No flex in these guys. Let's see what they look like under the microscope. They might not be that bad. They might be decent quality. We'll see. We're going to look at the 320 first. I am glad to see that they got away from those plastic back, plates. Those aren't good for anybody, but I'm glad they went with aluminum. These are going to be a lot better starter stones. Definitely a beneficial upgrade. So this is the 320. First thing we can see is that they're very, very diamond rich. There is a lot of diamond on this stone. So it is going to cut fast, that's for sure. Now, without very much looking, I haven't even really moved it around much, I can already see there's substantial grit contamination. On your first stone, your fast cutting stone, that's not necessarily a big deal. There is quite a bit of grit contamination. As you can see, all these are pretty consistent. But then you see much bigger pieces like that right there. That right there. There. And I'm not pointing them all out. This is pointing some. Like, look at that big boy. That's like 5 times the size of the normal. Again, this is your first stone of the progression, so you want this one to really remove material quickly. And you're going to be, if you're finishing it on this stone, or plate, you're going to be wanting a really aggressive edge anyways. So long as the grit contamination stops here, not really a problem. And come on, this comes with like an $80, $100 fixed angled sharpening system. So these really are starter stones. You can't expect, high quality, very consistent, high performance plates in a $80 system. One Atoma 1x6 is $65. $80 will buy the whole system plus, plus the 3 stones. So, you got to keep that in mind. What is important is that they have good diamond coverage. They have a lot of diamond on them, so they are going to cut very quickly. The electroplating looks good, so they shouldn't wear out super duper quick. And this is your starting stone, so grit contamination, not that big of a deal on this stone. One thing is good, I don't feel any like really high spots of electroplating where that can actually be a big problem. This don't really have that, so the main issue is a non-issue with these stones. I'll say it again. These are some super diamond rich stones. They are going to cut quickly. All right, let's go to the 800. As we can immediately see, the diamonds are much, much smaller. So let's zoom in a little more. The diamonds are much, much smaller, so at least it's following a progression, which, I mean, you can see that naked-eyed, but, you know. Now, this is where I'm not wanting to see that grit contamination. Again, this is your mid-grit stone. This is going to be a stone that you finish a lot of knives on. So I want at least fairly consistent. Let me see if I can get a little better focus, but I want to see at least fairly consistent without no giant, grit contamination. I'm going to say that it's probably going to, well, it's definitely going to have some grit contamination, but hopefully it's not bad. Again, we have a very diamond-rich stone, so it is going to cut fast. I'm sorry about that. Every time I touch it, it goes crazy. But let's zoom in a little bit and get a little better. There we go. Okay, so all the darker areas are your diamonds. The silver, that's going to be your electroplating. The dark next to it are going to be the diamonds. Okay, so far this is looking pretty consistent. You have a lot of sharp peaks, so this stone's gonna add there's some grit contamination. Like, you look at the average piece, size, and then you got like that one there, or that one there, that one there. So you got a little cluster right here of, but they're not terribly bigger. So that's, I mean, you're going to notice that in the scratch pattern, but probably not to the naked eye. That's not that much different. Okay, I'm not seeing nothing that's throwing up a red flag. There is a little bit of contamination, but it's mild. And like I said, not drastically larger pieces. Yeah, I mean, there's some grit contamination, just as I expected, but that's not bad. You're not seeing no pieces that are 3 or 4 times the size of the average piece. There's some that might be near double. Not quite double, but, And it's not all over the stone, so for a cheap diamond plate, I would give this a pass for sure. Yeah, there's some bigger pieces there. That one in the center of the screen. Like, that's probably your average piece right there, that size. So that is significantly bigger. But I don't know how good this camera picks it up, but the image that I'm looking at is much nicer than the image you guys are looking at. But you can still see, so. Yeah, I would give this a pass, especially considering this is, your starter stones. And here's the 2K. Let's get this focused. Okay, we already see a big honking piece of grit contamination. Now see, this is where again, keep in mind, we all have to keep in mind this is the starter set that it comes with, and it's an $80 system. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, grit contamination, especially on two-sided plates, is going to happen unless they're extremely careful. Now, on single plates like this, grit contamination really shouldn't happen. I mean, to some extent, but if any care was taken in manufacture, you shouldn't see this. You shouldn't see that. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of grit contamination on this stone. Like I in the very first spot, I put the stone down, and we can see quite a bit. So the 2000, you're definitely going to have much deeper scratches randomly throughout your scratch pattern. Now, these may change, those bigger pieces may break off, being they don't look like they're deep in the bonding or in the nickel binder. So they may break off after the first use, during the break-in of the plate. That could definitely happen. However, with as much grit contamination as I see, if it was just a couple pieces, I'd say that's probably just going to break off, and you'll have a consistent stone. But there's just too much. Yeah, there's just too much. Like, look at that mountain. Here's a prime example of where you can see a dispersion of sizes. Look at all the different size diamonds right there. So I would say that they're more, they're more than usable. You're absolutely going to be capable of getting a very sharp knife off this stone or plate. And if you're trying to get high quality professional edges, then you're going to have to buy a good set of stones anyways. The system is capable of doing it. If you got the stones, the system's capable. This is a starter set just to get you going. They'll work for sure. I have no doubt that I can get hair whittling edges off of this 2000 plate here with no issue. However, am I going to have a perfectly consistent scratch pattern? No. And look at that. With pieces like that, come on. With pieces like that, that is going to absolutely be you're going to be able to see that with your naked eye. If you're looking at your scratch pattern, you're going to see that random gouge, much deeper scratch that would create rather than, the average size diamond that's on the stone. Like you're talking right here, like, say these are the average size diamonds. Like that would be a piece of grit contamination. It's definitely bigger than your average piece. But then you step over to this beast, and you're talking 20 times the size of your average piece that's on here. So, yes, you're going to absolutely, these may not be enough of a difference that without really looking at it, closely, you may not be able to see that naked-eyed. it may be close enough. But there's pieces on here that are definitely big enough that if you have decent vision, you're going to absolutely see those much deeper scratches in the scratch pattern. Come on, crypto, every time I hear that chain, I'm making money. That's what I want to hear. Crypto market is, if you're on top of your trades right now, you can make a lot of money in the crypto market. That volatility is, you have to know what you're doing. But with that volatility is a playground if you know what you're doing. There's big money to, not trying to get on something else, but there's big money to be made in day trading right now, day trading or crypto. If you know what you're doing, $50,000 investment, and you doing a good job trading right now, make you a rich man in a year. You just got to know the market. I've done pretty damn well over the past 2 months. Crypto's done me right over the years, but past couple months has been phenomenal. Just doing, swing trading, you can make a lot of money. Here is another example of, way too big of diamond. Yeah. This 2K definitely has more grit contamination than even the 800. Hell, the 320 don't even have grit contamination as bad as this one does. You're probably looking at damn pieces from that 320 on here. Like them big boulders. Yeah, that's not contamination. That's marking. But if that was contamination, we'd have a problem. The good thing is I don't see any high spots of the binding. That's what will really cause problems and actually damage the edge as you're forming it. As long as the binder is nice and flat, and you just got some bigger chunks, that's not gonna stop you from getting a sharp knife. But if you've got high spots in the binder itself, in the electroplating, then as you're basically hitting your edge apex into that, you're gonna be causing damage to the apex, and you're literally going to be damaging the apex as you're forming it. So that's a new. But I don't see that on any of these stones. So I'm going to say, if you buy one of these systems, you get this little 3-piece set of stones with it. These are plenty serviceable entry stones or entry plates. You will be able to reprofile. You'll be able to have nice aggressive mid grit, and you'll be able to have you're going to have some grit contamination in it, so you're not going to have a perfect scratch pattern. But this 2K definitely capable of getting very, very fine edge. If you do your job, you should have no problem being able to whittle hair with this 2K. So yeah, I'd say overall, as a starter set that comes with the system, these are great. I would not buy these. I don't know if they sell these, they sell a set of these. They probably do. If they sell these standalone, I would not buy these. Way too much grit contamination. You can get the SY Tools brand and have very, very little grit contamination, and very well done stones for a 10-piece set for $32 or $33 right now. But point is, I wouldn't buy these if you can get these as a set standalone aside from the system. I would not buy these. There's too much grit contamination. Yeah, I would. But as a set that's included with the system to start and get to practice and then getting sharp edges, these are more than sufficient. These will do a good job for you. They're probably going to last pretty decently because the electroplating does look like it's done decently. Yeah, these are definitely an upgrade to the plastic based plates that come with the system to start with. That little bit of grit contamination for most people isn't going to bother them whatsoever. And like I said, I believe if you don't use a ton of pressure, these will probably last pretty good for you, and you'll be able to get nice sharp edges off of them. So that is the Xarilk 320, 800, 2000 diamond plates with the aluminum bases. Overall, that's a pass.